I'm sure that the viewers will be wanting to know, Billy. Have you been to either of the Champions League finals?
Unfortunately not, and it's a sore subject in my house, as I'm sure you're all aware. So the 2008 final, as we just mentioned, was in Moscow, and all of us were members, I think, the previous season. The way it worked, I'm not entirely sure, but when we were applying for tickets, my dad couldn't get one, I couldn't get one, but my sister, who was in a certain category, I think, so 2008, how old would I have been? I would have been 16. So I think I'd have left the youth category, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I was applying for an adult ticket, whereas my sister, who at the time was 14, was in the child's category. She was able to get a ticket, and subsequently had to have an adult go with her, which my dad then was like, well, I'll have to go. This was also smack bang in the middle of my GCSEs. So my mum was a bit iffy as going, but then when that happened, she was like, yeah, well, you're definitely not going now. Because my dad was like, oh, well, you could come and just pretend to, but then it was a case of they gave you your ticket with your passport, so it was
was there any part of you then that felt really glad that they didn't win the Champions League that year?
So I'm obviously sat at home watching it. My dad's not at home, so I'm not watching it with him. So I'm sat on my own watching it. My mum's popping in and out, and it obviously goes to penalties, and I'm there going, I don't know what I want to happen. Like, if we'd have won the game outright, but penalties is obviously such a flip of a coin. I was like sat there going, I don't know what I want to happen. I don't know. My sister and my dad were sat at the opposite end, to the penalties as well. So the penalties were shot at the United fans. I just remember, obviously, I think once we lost, I just turned off and that was it, which I think most fans would have done anyway. But I was just there, like, at the same time, I was like relieved. There was this sense of relief over me as well, thinking I was gutted that we lost it, but at the same time, I was like, thank God that if my dad had been there the first time we won the Champions League, I'd have been gutted.
Yeah. So let's have a look at your other shirt, then your non-Wolves shirt.
So this one, because obviously you said about this yesterday, I had a rummage round and I was trying to find, the Brazil kit from the early 2000s, but I couldn't find it, so it would have been that. But because I couldn't find that one, you're probably going to go, but yeah, it's this one. Hold on.
Oh, shock!
Mexico,
but at least hang on. At least I can put that in the title now.
In the thumbnail, and then Raul number 9 on the back. Hold on, do you want the thumbnail? Hold on, I'll just hold that there for a minute. Screenshot that.
Yeah, lovely.
So just that one, because I haven't got obviously a random. Well, I think I've got an old Real Madrid one with Zidane on the back, but I couldn't find that either. But I just like that. I actually like the top as well, and obviously.
Is that their current shirt?
No, I think this one's probably the one before the current. I could be wrong though, because a lot of people have got the black away one, haven't they? With Raul number 9 on the back. This is the green one of that. So I got the green one because everyone had the black one. But I do like that. And to be honest, I love Mexico now because of Raul.
This video is definitely going to make me go onto eBay and classic football shirts. I've got a story actually before we move on. So a few weeks ago, I said, I've been watching all these videos. I said, like, during this lockdown, I could seriously try and sort of similar to what you do, I'll find some cheap shirts on eBay. And maybe sell them on, or if they're really good, I'd keep them. So I found one, LA Galaxy shirt, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, this is quite cheap. There was about half an hour left on it. It was about £6 or £7. Searched online. The cheapest of that shirt I could find, brand new, was about £65. So this would be a good deal. So I won the auction for about £10. So man, I'm quids in here. I looked at the pictures. Picture was fine in the front of the shirt. Back of the shirt had name 7 printed on the back. I was there like, what? And I saw the 7. I thought, maybe it's Beckham. That'd be great. And it was name 7, so it must have been like a model shirt. Mistake, So it got delivered a couple of weeks ago, and I've been meaning to maybe try and either iron it off or I've seen someone that used like acetone to try and like peel it off. But I've not braved it yet.
You're gonna try and convince somebody that was the name of their number 7. Name.
Name, Put a little dash on the top of the E.
Your last kit then.
Last kit.
I think I can spot it. I think I can guess what it is.
It is. It's my local team. Oof. And It's not a special season or anything. It's not. It's just your average League of Wales, Welsh Premier League football team, just normal team. But I don't know how far it went. I didn't manage to get on Gillette Soccer Special, but there was a big hype around this shirt because the people who make the shirt, the SK Pro, that huge
classic
sportswear company that's everywhere, they decided to kind of do a 2-in-1. So I know that Umbro did it a few years ago, didn't they, with England shirts and Man United shirts? But I think the one side was the playing shirt and the other side was a casual
leisure wear. Yeah.
But what they decided to do is make it a reversible shirt for supporters. So you pay your money for one shirt, but in fact you get the home shirt.
No way.
And you get the away shirt as well. So it's a 2-in-1. The quality isn't brilliant because I think it literally is the shirts have been sewn together. And it's a bit like this. Yeah, you can feel if the fabric doesn't sit well together.
I can see on Zoom that it doesn't look particularly good. Yeah,
it's quite a good idea. So I don't know,
nice.
For the football hooligans who go to watch Newtown, they can have their fight wearing this top, and then change it around, and the police won't know who they are.
The most prized possession I've got, which I don't keep any memorabilia. I've got rid of it all the stuff I've ever bought in auction, all the stuff that gets donated to me for the charities. I get rid of it, and it's on somebody's wall. So I haven't got. I've got a few tickets. I've got this one, like I said, and but I haven't really. The one item that I got was a story about Billy Wright that Vicky told, the Billy Wright story at Molyneux recently.
Yeah,
was that Billy was an extremely generous man, and he didn't really hold any of his memorabilia or his trophies or his caps in that high regard. He famously gave one of his 100 England caps to his milkman. He arrived at the door and he goes, and it's just it sort of spoke. So I was contacted last year by a man who said my father was a good friend of Billy Wright's, and when Billy Wright won his first ever FA Cup final in 1949, all the players got presented with an engraved Ronson lighter with their names and the year 1949, and Billy Wright gave it to his dad. Billy Wright gave it to his dad, and his dad passed it on to his best mate, and his best mate passed it on to his son, and his son contacted me and says, I want you to have it. Oh, wow. So this lighter here is the engraved lighter. If I put it on you can probably just pick out. Engraved by it's got his name, W.A. Wright, Wembley, 1949. I should be wearing my Len Ganley white gloves, to hold this, and it comes in a presentation case.
Oh wow!
And basically, I was quite taken back because it's like a piece of Wolves history.
That is something that you would expect to see in the museum,
so I've contacted the museum, and they're sort of happy. And I've also contacted Vicky as well, Billy Wright's daughter, and I've shown her as well, because I was feeling like maybe the family wanted to contribute to a charity and they could have it as a memory, because I don't really want somebody to have it and then stick it in a drawer somewhere or it's just lost. And so at the moment I'm still undecided. I've still got it and I look after it. It's a treasured possession, but one day it will raise hopefully a packet for Dementia UK. I'm not intending to keep it, and it is I think Bert Williams, unfortunately, what happens with players of yesteryear, their medals and their memorabilia, they start selling it off because they weren't paid the same as the players that are paid now. So a lot of old medals and old achievements got diluted, and people bought them. So I suppose Billy just saw it as a lighter. I've been given a lighter with my name on here. You can have it, and that speaks volumes of the guy he was. And it is history. That's like last year would have been the 70th anniversary of the FA Cup final, his first ever trophy.
This season it was a possibility. When we went to watch them, they were on course for it.
They were
it was like
terrible
the tightest,
that game.
There was about 7 or 8 teams within 6 points of each other, all vying for the playoffs, and they were absolutely shocking.
Yeah. Well, funny story about that day as well. So me and Robbie went to watch Dover at Solihull Moors, and Dover got beaten 3-0. Liverpool were playing Watford that evening, and Robbie said in the car on the way back, "At least I won't see Liverpool lose 3-0." And lo and behold, they did. But I think Wolves won that weekend, didn't they? Wolves beat Spurs. So
Wolves was the only team out of the 3 that I like to follow that did well.
So the final bit of the show then is for you to show me a bit of a mystery piece of memorabilia. Anything with a story. I said when you asked me yesterday, we've had all sorts of things. Billy Wright's lighter from the 1949 FA Cup final. We've had photos, all sorts of stuff. So what have you brought us today?
I hope you're going to let me get away with this, because we're on lockdown. The bit of memorabilia is in Ipswich in my parents' house, and I'm in Bedfordshire, unable to get it. But I've got an old scrapbook. It's the Ipswich Evening Star scrapbook, and when I was growing up, I lived opposite a place called the Belsterbrook Hotel, and people on the Blue Monday podcast are bored of me telling these stories, but we're on a Wolves podcast now, so I can. And as a young kid, I used to go over to the hotel, and Ipswich were in the Premier League in 92-93, and the players from the opposing teams would stay at the hotel, and it was a bit of a different time because you knew at about, I don't know, midday or something, that the players were going to come into the reception, and if it was Man United or Liverpool or things of that nature, there'd be tons of people there, and the players would come out and they would sign autographs, get on the bus, go down to the ground. And there's a couple of particular things, but probably the most valuable one is that the last game of the 92-93 season was at home to Forest, and it's Brian Clough's last game.
No way.
And I didn't. This is so. I wish I could go back and do it again, because I didn't understand who I was talking to. Because I'm like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Out he comes in the green jumper. It's incredible that I got to do this. And there was me and 2 other lads, because it was Forest. Roy Keane was there. I remember Kingsley Black as well.
Nigel Clough, was he Forest at that point?
Yeah, good player as well, Clough. And then he went on to Liverpool, didn't he? So Brian Clough comes out, and I kind of knew who he was, but I didn't understand the greatness. You know? I just knew that this was a figure. So I go up to him, and I go, I've been told by my dad, Mr. Clough or Sir or whatever, you ask nicely. And if they say yes, you say thank you, and if they say no, you say okay, that's no problem. You don't have to sign my book. You've got a match to go and do or whatever. Mr. Clough, please may I have your autograph, sir? He just looks at me and he goes, "Get on the bus." I'm like,
no way.
Okay. So he walks on, and he walks onto the bus, and there's me and 2 other kids walk up, and the guy in front. So I'm the middle of the 3, and the guy in front of me gives him the book, and he goes, "What's that, son?" And there's a spider on his book. You got a spider on your book. I can't do.
Yeah, young man.
Perfect. There you go. Young man, spider on the book. Get off the bus. Get rid of that spider. Right. So I'm at the front. I'm terrified. Absolutely terrified. I'm like, who's this weird green
alcoholic
genius, flawed genius? I pass him the book, and he goes, "Young man, what's your name?" "Oh, Ben." And he says it as he writes it. He goes, "To Ben, be good. Love, Brian." It's absolutely incredible. No, and then I go to take the book back. I'm not making this up. This is genuine Brian Clough. And he pulls the book away, and he goes like this. And I'm like, oh, God, what's he going to do? And he gives me a hug.
Oh.
He gives me a hug. And I walk away, and I walk out of the bus, and I'm like, what just happened? This is so weird. And then as you grow older, and I remember the Match of the 70s series coming on, and I'm watching, oh, that's Brian. What? So he wins the league with Derby, and then he's going to, take Forest from the 2nd division and win 2 European Cups. So yeah, just that. It's not that I don't really care about the autograph. It's the fact that I can tell a crazy Brian Clough story. And then I ended up working at the Belsterbrook as a kid because I lived opposite it. And when Newcastle played Ipswich, it was the first time Sir Bobby had come back in a competitive game. He'd done a friendly with Porto, but it was going to be Sir Bobby has come back. The most popular ever guy at Ipswich is going to come back, and of course the place was crazy. And there's two things I remember on my shift. There's one point where Kieran Dyer, Titus Bramble, Kevin Beattie, and Bobby Robson are sat round a table. And Kevin Beattie is so sweet as well. Has been voted the number one, and he just wants to show his idol, his mentor. He's like Gaffer. Look at this. I'm number one. And then later in the night, and I can't believe this happened to me either. So Bobby went the wrong way from the room. So I'm walking down the corridor, and there's Sir Bobby Robson, right? And I say to him, "Are you okay, Sir Bobby?" And he went, "No, son, where's room 437? And I'm like, I'm at one end of the hotel, and I know that room 437 is miles away. And so
let me take you.
Exactly. I did exactly the right thing. I said, "Oh, sir, would you like me to walk you?" I walked all the way through the Belsterbrook Hotel with Bobby Robson and talked to him. The two probably great, I know Sir Alf as well, but the two greatest English managers ever, or two of the three of them, I met them. So yeah, I have a lot of that hotel to thank for, but my item would be the scrapbook somewhere with to Ben, be good, love Brian.
Well, until we have actual proof of it happening, we'll have to
I promise I can tell you, I promise it happened. I promise. And that's what I say about the book. It's the memory that I mean, I've told that story more than once. I'm sure I add on a little bit every time, but that's as I recall it, a 10-year-old me meeting, maybe the greatest manager of all time.
Right, let's have a look at your next kit then. So a non-Wolves kit I've asked you for. What have you got?
Well, as I said, this series is like my dream. I'm a kit man. I love my kits. I've got my bed here, this whole drawer. I don't think you can see it from here, can you? No, but in this drawer it's just full of kits. And I've got loads of very, very nice ones. But I think that I started, as I will grab it off the floor, was buying kits from places. I think Billy sort of mentioned buying kits from places that I'd been. So when we went to Iceland, ironically, I bought an Iceland kit as well. Dubai, I got the Dubai FC team, Al Ali, they're called. And we went to the Maldives, and this was gold dust. Like, so I searched every time, like Iceland, I bought it online. And a Maldives kit, there was just none around. So we were there, and you're on a little island. It takes 10 minutes to walk around. There's no shops or anything. So I wasn't like walking into it was like bread and milk. You couldn't get like, can I have your home kit, please? So we were sat eating one night. Do you want me to get?
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put the picture on, in fact, that you've sent to me. If I can I'll just find it a second. You carry on talking.
Yes. So basically, we were eating one night, and we had this guy that would come straight to the table and got friendly with him, blah, blah, blah. And he was asking how we were. Really good English. Mohammed, shout out. And he was very, very kind. And he said basically that we learned the whole culture. Oh, Tom, okay, this is getting fancy. There it is. So can I put it down now? Can you still see me? Yeah, you can still see me. Yeah. So basically, what was I saying? Yeah, Mohammed, basically, they're mostly Sri Lankan that work on these islands in the Maldives. And they fly in, but I think he was from the Maldives actually, but they fly back and forward, and they'll work 3 weeks on an island or whatever, then they'll go back for a few days and see their family, because then they send them money home. So in fact, it was fascinating. It was really nice what they do. So he was talking about going back to the main Maldives island. So when you fly to the Maldives, you go to this main sort of city. It's honestly like there's like skyscrapers everywhere, but on this tiny little island.
No way.
And then you fly out to your other little ones on seaplanes, like these tiny little rickety seaplanes, and they're very scary. My mum hated them. So he was going back to the main island where there were obviously shops. So he said, and I mentioned that I buy kits because I think I was wearing a kit from, it was only France or something. It wasn't very exotic, but one that I got while I was in France. And he said, well, let me have a look, and then you can just pay me when you get back or whatever, and I'll bring it back, because he was back on the Thursday and we were leaving on the Friday. So he went, couldn't find anything. And sorry, I forgot. He was meant to be going back to see his newborn grandson, but it seems like he was back for 2 days, and it seems like he wasted a whole entire day looking for the kit for me. And I felt awful. Like I only wanted to just pop into the shop. But he told me this whole story. He said his brother's friend was the manager of the Maldivian under-23s.
No way.
It sold out in all the shops, but he contacted this guy and he said, have you got any spare kit? And they said there was one spare kit that wasn't being used.
Yeah.
And he said, give it, I can't remember what it was, like the equivalent of 40 quid or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like, you can have it. So it was meant for the players, but he's, as you can see, like still tagged up and everything there.
Yeah.
So then he brought that back, told us this whole story about, so he'd only seen his new family members born for a day because he was running around heading to the Maldivian FA headquarters and all this. On it, like, and then another guy in one of the other restaurants, he played for the Maldives and was serving us pizzas as well. So because like there's no wage there, so he's playing for the national team, and then was a waitress. Well, honestly, it was unbelievable. But the story behind it is like one I've never had. So that really has a special memory with me. I've got better looking kits and all ones like that, but yeah, this one.
That's a very good story.
I think it's Joe. Is it Swansea?
Yes, Swansea have had Joma. Yeah. That's a very good story.
Yeah, little Maldives, and it says fam in the middle for some reason. But yeah, and shout out my hat. But yeah, as you can see, I'm not actually that tall. They are quite small as well.
No, well, Finn, you are
giant.
you are massive anyway. That man's 6 foot. And then let's move on to the final part of the show. Then, where you're going to show us we've teased it already, but you're going to show us a bit of football memorabilia that is a mystery to me.
Yeah, so like you said about the Man City connection, so I do a lot of work in Man City, just kind of things really. So, stuff at their training ground and stuff with the players and, body doubles and stuff. So this one I did a body double for Kevin De Bruyne about 4 months now. And I've actually got his shin pads from the day. So it's probably the most random thing ever. But yeah, So I've got Kevin De Bruyne's shin pads from that day.
That's pretty
he just
cool.
gave them to me. I was like, nice one. So it's just a random artifact. But he was honestly like one of the nicest people like ever. He's so down to earth as well. Like, and obviously unbelievably talented. Like he was just spin balls left, right, and centre.
Yeah. Do you remember that clip from when Wolves played Man City in the League Cup, and Conor Ronan asked him for his shirt, and then then De Bruyne asked for Ronan's shirt, and he's like, "What, my shirt?" You could just tell from that little clip that he's a genuine bloke and a really nice chap, as well as being a fantastic footballer.
It's sort of I got my first taste. I went with Bayliss, who was on the podcast, to Wolves versus Cardiff. It was in 2004-05 season. We lost 2-1, but I remember it being my first game of football I ever went to, and the atmosphere was incredible because I'd never felt anything. So I had actually nothing to compare it by. So it might have been terrible by all accounts, but my first proper taste of Molineux, and fell in love with it straight away. And because I'm such a cheapskate and don't like spending any money, I remember the first thing I did was go back home and I made my own Wolves clock and various pictures by printing off logos, taking apart my clock at home, and making my own one out of all that stuff. And I remember vividly, and my mum and dad remind me of this quite a lot actually, was that when we didn't do well or we lost, all the memorabilia that I had created would be taken down off the wall because I was so angry with them. So the frustration stretches back pretty much to day one. But yeah, that's my earliest memories, is that first game, and haven't looked back since. The rest, as they say, is history. And
now you travel all over Europe following them. As we start the show, you are a Wolves fan, of course. So just tell everybody your first memories of the Wolves, or if it's because I know that you live in West Bromwich. Has it been any trouble in your childhood growing up in West Bromwich?
Loads, to be fair. Mostly because my dad likes to bite back at all the Albion fans in the area. I remember when Wolves went down and Albion went up, someone from the next street came and mooned in front of our front window. That was one of my early memories as a child. I know, ridiculous. But my local is full of all West Brom memorabilia, and the Wolves fans are slowly taking over, and they're coming out of the woodwork. There's more Wolves fans in there this season than there has been since I've been drinking there, which is probably from the age of about 14. But my earliest memories of Wolves, my dad was a hardened home and away season ticket holder. I only got a home season ticket now, but for as long as I can remember, I've always been Wolves. I was put under a wondrous scarf, as the song may suggest, ever since I was born. My mum's a West Brom fan, big West Brom fan. My dad's a Wolves fan, so it was either the Albion or Wolves, and I haven't thanked my dad for choosing Wolves until the past 2 or 3 years. In my lifetime, Albion have always really been better than Wolves, but I can never remember my first home game. I would have only been a nipper. My dad took me as soon as he could, really, to try and get it in the blood. I remember my first away game was Coventry City at the Ricoh Arena, and Wolves lost that day. But I remember just the chants and the atmosphere, and it was a cold Tuesday night, I think. Can I do it in a cold Tuesday night in Coventry? Well, the answer was no. But I could not. I loved it, just the chanting. I remember saying, fight, wherever we are, the voice in the black country. And even at such a young age, that tribalism, I was like, wow, this is absolutely amazing. Like, it was a bit of an addiction. I was like, Dad, when we going to the next away games? Like, Mum was like, yeah, you going again? You come back swearing?
What's been your...
I mean, that night, from last year, the Man United quarter-final game, the whole excitement, the buzz around everything building up to that game, the gold flags. I know that the wind blew some of them around, but it was absolutely magical. And the way the game unfolded, the atmosphere was like nothing I'd ever seen. And at the end of that, if you ever get a chance to watch back that vlog that I did, the emotion. And obviously, that was when my very, very good friend who was very close to Bill, Sean Connery, who sat next to me for 20 years. He was part of that, and his emotion. And obviously, we sadly lost him very suddenly in December, which was a real shock to us. But I'm glad that he got to witness that, because there's a story behind that game. And Bill, he lived in Buxton, which is quite a way to travel. And where he worked, they were all Man United fans. And it meant so much to him that we beat Man United. And for myself as well, because the company that I work with, I'm a marketing consultant. And they've got a regional office in Manchester. And 2.5-3 years ago, when Fosun bought Wolves, I sat down and I said, watch Wolves, we're going to be competing for the top 6 in a couple 2 or 3 years time. We're going to be going for Champions League in Europe. And they ripped the pee out of me, literally, and laughed at me. And were taking the mick for a long, long time. Oh, here he comes, that deluded Wolves fan, every time we had a regional office. And I can tell you what, Tom, the day after that quarter-final, I had a regional meeting in Manchester. I walked into the office and I held my scarf up, the whole office, and I went, you ain't laughing now. And they just all come over to me one at a time and like, you told us. And it was quite a nice special moment, because for a long time, it's the ton of the moment that they all sort of took Wolves seriously. They are a serious side. And I think the realisation in the media generally last year it was good little Wolves having a go. Now this year, it's kind of like, these mean business. And that's kind of why it's so frustrating that everything's come to this grinding halt. But yeah, absolutely magical. That match.
So very similarly, I had a bet with somebody. It was a friend of a friend back in 2018 after our promotion. And I said, I bet you 20 quid Wolves will be a Champions League team by the end of this season, currently 2020. Now, depending on how they decide to end the season, if they choose to finish it at the halfway point, Wolves finished 5th. Wolves are 5th.
That's
and with City, so that's what they've done in. I think there's a couple of countries who are either planning to do that or whatever. But however we do it, if we continue with the season, I think we've got a good chance of finishing 4th properly. If they take it on points per game, I think we stay in 7th. But The halfway point is the one that I want because with City being banned as
well.
I saw that. And I was feeling quite proud with my little setup here with the tickets and stuff in the background, but I've been put to shame by your little man cave there. How long has that taken to put together?
Well, I've been building it. Well, I say from help from me stepdad and uncle and stuff. Been putting it together. I've been collecting stuff for ages, and then we just decided, right, let's get some chipboard up and start banging some bits about. But I'll give you a little pan around. Like I say, it's got a lot of garden stuff in at the minute.
Yeah.
So I've got some Wolves shirts and a Bully shirt over there, England. I've got I'm a big New England Patriots fan, so that'll feature later in this show.
Yeah.
Patriot stuff. Ran the marathon for autism, so I got a marathon vest.
Nice.
And then got like Anthony Joshua stuff as well.
Oh wow. Is that a Man United shirt?
Yeah. It's
the man, you've let yourself down there.
Europa League winners. Europa League winning team signed.
Okay.
Going to be replaced probably with the Europa League Wolves.
Yeah. You did mention it earlier on then, so what happened about the playoff final then? Why can't you pick that as your favourite Wolves memory?
It's a lot of people's favourite day being a Wolves fan. It's actually one of my worst days being a Wolves fan. I was in my car on the way back and I had a phone call. It was my drummer in my band I was with at the time. And it was an originals band. We've been together about 2 or 3 years. And we just started talking about the next gig. And it was in Market Drayton at a festival. And just so happened, went, oh, hang on. That can't be that date. It can't be that date. That's the Wolves game. And I had tickets because at that time I was working in the turnstiles and I got two free tickets. And looking forward to it. This is the time. Come on, let me take it. It's been such a long time. 18 years, was it, or something?
Yeah.
Now. And he said, "Well, we've got a gig stick, Market Drayton," and it was kind of. He didn't say it in these words, but it was. It's either the band or it's the game, And it was like, oh, this is awkward, And this band, I love this band. It's we're writing some really good stuff, and it's one of my biggest regrets. I didn't go. No, just do the gig without me. Just do it without me. You don't need me there. And I had a chat with my dad, bless him. He said, look, you're a musician. This is what comes with it. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, And I ended up getting rid of my tickets and going to the gig, which was on the back of an articulated lorry.
Oh man!
In a field in Market Drayton, playing to about 8 people.
Oh man!
It was just, oh god!
Oh mate!
I can't even think about it. And then I saw the first goal. Actually, Mark Kenny's first goal was in the pub. That's where everybody was. They were watching the Wolves game, of course they were. And then they said, "Come on, we're on stage." So we're on stage, did the gig, and then by the time I got home, everyone had left the pubs because they're probably either too drunk or they're just, and it's just, I've missed everything. I mean, it was it was one of the saddest days of my life.